Hello everyone, today we'll be building some more Jurassic Park. I decided to build another smaller dinosaur this time, that being the Dilophosaurus. This one ended up being a pretty tricky build since it's so small. As usual, if you'd like to see the full build, make sure you stay tuned to the end of the video. Now let's get into the build. I started with the base again this time. I decided I wanted it to be a little more than a grassy patch with a rock on it. I found a pretty good way to spruce it up a little bit. I had two of the Jurassic Park Dilophosaurus sets, so I took some of the signs off and added it to our base. I also removed the little white frog as well as the Barbasol can and put it on the base too. Next I chose which Dilophosaurus mold I wanted to base my build off of. These ones were a little more accurate to the scene I wanted to replicate, but I went with this color scheme instead. Now we can actually start the build itself. Here we start off with building the main body itself. These medium nougat plates and tiles will be used as the brown stripe on the top of the dinosaur. This 1x2 brick with studs on both sides will be used to connect the sides later on. I also used a little trick of adding this pin into the bottom of a brick to cover up a gap that would appear later. These bricks serve as the main internal structure that the rest of the components will connect to. We'll also add a few more bricks to help with the structure when we start the underbelly. This 1x4 olive green slope will be the transition from the body to the tail. And this little white brick here is what's going to connect it to the side panels when we add them on. I also added a couple 1x1 tan plates to help with the spacing. Now with another piece done, we can move on to the tail itself. You can see these olive green pieces on the right as well as the medium nougat plates and tiles on the left. This is the transition from the green to the brown. The tail will actually be showing the underside of these plates. Most of these medium nougat pieces were leftovers from the T-Rex I recently built. Now I finish off the tip of the tail with this 1x2 inverted slope. Now we can attach most of these pieces together. Here we add some of the more green elements that'll help create that slope transition into the body. With these parts now attached and complete, we could move on to building the side panels, which surprisingly they did not take up too many pieces. So these olive green pieces were leftovers from the Parasaurolophus build I made not too long ago. This 1x1 plate that I'm adding now is what the leg will attach to later. Here we can see how these two pieces are going to be connected by the sides. The part we're adding on now specifically is what's going to hold the tail in place. And then this 2x2 wedge plate will be added on the last remaining stud on its own. And of course if we have one side we're going to have to repeat the steps on the other side too. Now with that, the main body and tail are complete. Once this was done, I moved on to building the legs. You can see they're predominantly dark bluish gray. There's not a lot of parts to choose from with the olive green color in LEGO, so I chose to go with this color instead. I think it works fine since it adds a little bit of variation to the build. And most of the dinosaurs on screen appear as a darker color anyway. You can see here the feet are used with those 1x1 clip pieces like most of my other smaller builds. Just like the panels, I had to build two of those as well. Now we can move on to the front arms. I used dark bluish gray again, as well as using that binocular piece that I've been doing for my smaller builds' hands. I think so far it works out pretty well. You can see the arm has a little bit of an elbow joint based off the piece I used too. And you guessed it, we built a second one. Now we're moving a little bit closer to the head. These four pieces will be used to make up the neck. And here you can see more use of the dark bluish gray for this bracket piece. This is how we will attach the head later. Anywhere I couldn't use an olive green version of the piece I wanted, I instead replaced it with dark bluish gray. Just like you can see here with this 1x1 brick and this 1x1 clip. If you haven't been able to guess yet, this is the start of the Dilophosaurus head. I used a 1x1 yellow stud to represent the eye. And just like my Mutodon video, I used one of those jaw pieces to create the lower jaw itself. Thankfully the original Dilophosaurus mold used some of these, so I had a lot on hand. It's not a very strong connection, but the jaw is able to rest on that clip piece and it keeps it in place pretty well. And here you can see it's able to open up as well. And now lastly, for the frills, I decided to use these 1x1 leaf pieces. I decided to use two on either side. These pieces were perfect as they are also in the exact color that I needed. Now the head is complete with the addition of the last frill, which means we can start working on adding all the pieces together. First we added the legs as well as the front arms. I added them in the same spot on the other side too. Now that we've added all the limbs onto the dinosaur, we can begin connecting the neck to the head. Now here you can see how the 1x1 clip piece on the bottom of the head attaches to the bracket we see on the neck. And the neck itself will attach onto the 1x1 brick with a stud on the side. This completes our Dilophosaurus build, which surprisingly is able to stand up on its own. Before we added it to the base, I wanted to do the size comparison. So here it is next to LEGO's official Dilophosaurus mold. For being brick build, I think it compared pretty well. Now we can add it onto the Jurassic Park themed base. It attaches with one stud and the other leg stays in the air. I thought this would make the dinosaur look like it was in motion. Now with it added to its base, the dinosaur is complete. I was pretty happy with how this build turned out. I had a lot of doubts going into this build since there's a lot of details I could have missed. Now I can add it onto the shelf with the rest of my dinosaurs. Thank you all very much for watching this video. If you'd like to support my channel, make sure you like and subscribe. Bye!